Hello everyone. Today we are going to be using our data from DumpTek to create our invoices inside of QuickBooks Online. So to get started, I'm logged in on QuickBooks for my trucking company, and underneath of invoices, you can see that I currently don't have any invoices when I go to my customers. I don't currently have any customers either. And then under my products and services, I have one service that's called trucking. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to go over into DumpTek. Now you can see I already have a hauling sheet pulled up. I was just looking at some of my hauling sheets, making sure everything looked good. If I go to my tickets section over here, we can see that these are all tickets that I submitted for last week. I submitted tickets for two different clients, client demo, client number 1, and demonstration, client number 2. And it looks like I had 3 different projects that I was working on. Demonstration project number 1, demonstration project number 2, and number 3. So it looks like project number 1 and number 2 were both projects for the same client, number 1, and then project number 3 was for client number 2. So to see each project, I can go into my project setup over here. As we look at these, we can see each project was set up slightly different. If I go to edit on the project, we can just take a real quick look. So project number 1 is set up to be hourly. We have an hourly rate of 120, and you can see that we are billing for our travel time to the project, and we are billing for our travel time back to the yard on that one. Project number 2. Let's take a look at that one. For this one, we are billing it by the material. The material is aggregate base course. This one is being billed by the ton, and we have a rate of $6.57. So in this one, we are including our travel time to the project, any standby time that we might have, and then travel time back from the project. Now, because the project is being billed on a per ton basis, these hours are not going to show up or have any effect on the actual billing, but they will still be utilized to identify what your indirect and what your direct hours are on the project, which you can still use to calculate an equivalent hourly rate. Now if I go and I look at project number 3, this project is billed a little bit differently. This is also by material, aggregate base course, but this one is billed by the load, and it's $200 per load. And we don't have any selections for adding our pre-trip time, travel time, standby time. None of this is being added to our direct hours, and because this project is billed by the load, the hours will have no effect on the revenue. Now, if I go to the report section over here, we have what's called a project report. Inside of the project report, it's asking us for when our start date and end date is. So I'm going to look at last week, Monday the 13th, all the way till Sunday, the 19th. And I'll click on preview. So now what this did is this created a PDF report for each one of my projects. And you can see these are the hull sheets for each different day. So the 13th, 14th, and 15th, we were running on demonstration project number 1, and here is our ticket revenue. And remember, this one was billed by the hour, so it's our direct hours multiplied by that $120 per hour to equal our ticket revenue. If I scroll down a little bit, you can see that it's the same customer. There was customer number 1, so it's just listing the new project, and this is for the 16th and the 17th, and this one was billing it by the ton. So it's multiplying it by tons by our cost per ton, which was $6.57. So here's the ticket revenue for that one. And then as we continue down, now we have our second client here, and we have demonstration project number 3. This one is being billed by the load, and you can see it's multiplying the $200 per load by the quantity of loads, 4 loads. So, what we are going to do with this information is that we're going to import this directly into our QuickBooks Online for our invoicing. So, we're going to click on Download. Click on Export to Excel, and it's saving it to our desktop. I'm going to save it to my Downloads folder. Click Save, and so now down here, DumpTek created an Excel sheet for us. Okay, and so you can see that what it did is it created an Excel sheet with column headings. And these column headings match the column headings that we have on our project report. We've got our ticket numbers, our dates, who the client is, who the project is, etc. Now, for us to import this into QuickBooks, we're going to have to add a few columns. So I'm going to insert a few columns here. And I'm going to name these. So this is going to be invoice number. This is going to be invoice date. And this is due date. So this invoice number determines which tickets show up on which invoice. So this is where we get to decide, do we want all of the tickets that were for client number 1 to show up on one invoice, or do we want to invoice each project separately? For this example, we're going to invoice each project separately. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that this ticket, and this ticket are being added to invoice number 1. This ticket and this ticket are being added to invoice number 2. This ticket is being added to invoice number 3. The invoice date, we are going to go ahead and make it for today. So it's the 23rd. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it in these cells here. And then the due date, I'm just going to go ahead and make it 30 days. From the invoice date, so I'm saying equals, and then I clicked on the invoice date, plus, and then 30. There we go. So that's the due date for it. Drag that down. Okay, that should be the bare minimum information that we need to import this data into QuickBooks. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file here. Now remember, this file was located inside my Downloads folder. So what we're going to do now is we're ready to bring it into QuickBooks. So if I go back into QuickBooks, what we're going to do on our QuickBooks Online is over in the top right-hand corner. Under the Settings button, we click on that, and we go under the Tools section, and we click on Import Data. Okay, and now it's asking us, what type of data do we want to import? We're going to import invoicing data. All right, so now you need to hook up your Excel sheet to this. So we are going to click on Browse. And we're going to click on our Downloads folder, and you can see here's the one that I was just editing. 8:25 p.m. Today's date. I'll click on Open, and then I'm going to click on this little button here, Add New Customers to Quickbooks. I'm going to hit Next. So now it just read that document, and now it's identified the columns. Those column headings need to match up to our QuickBooks column headings. So it says invoice number for QuickBooks fields. So inside of our Excel sheet, we need to select which number or which column it's going to hook up to. So I'm going to select invoice number here. It's asking us for invoice or a customer. I'm going to select client. It's asking us for invoice date. We got that. It looks like our due date automatically got selected. We're going to leave the terms alone. The service date is just the same as date. That's our ticket date. The item we're going to leave as not applicable, which means it's going to, by default, make our service that we have in the system that's labeled trucking, the service that's going to be utilized. For the item description, what I like to do is I like to use our ticket number that's in there. Now, what you can do is on your Excel sheet, if you'd like for it to be a little bit more customized, you can add in some more descriptive details, and I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. Your item quantity, we're going to leave this one blank, and our item rate, we're going to leave this one blank also. Of course, you can add that in on your Excel sheet if you want it on there, and then your item amount is going to be our ticket revenue column. And then our memo, we're going to say not applicable, and our email, we're going to say not applicable. Now from here, we click on the next button. And so it just read our Excel sheet and it says, you're good to go. It's going to create us 3 new invoices, and it's going to produce 2 new customers. So I'm going to click on Complete Import. All right, nicely done. So if we click on our Invoicing button over here, there we go. Now we can see that we have 3 invoices and our totals per invoice. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what they look like. If I click on Print, I can see a preview of what it's going to look like for the customer. So it's showing that the trucking service, there's the dollar amount, there's the date of the invoice, and there's your haul sheet number. Okay, so now that we have our invoice and it's looking pretty good, another thing that I like to do is I like to add PDFs of the hauling sheets. So if we click back onto our DumpTek admin portal, I can click on Reports. And we have our hauling sheet report. So if I open this and make it for the week that we are billing for, and let's say that we're going to do this for our first invoice, which was our demonstration project number 1, I just select in the filter our project, click on Preview. And there we go. We have 3 tickets, and these are the actual tickets that went along with the data. So from there, we can click on Download Export to PDF. And we are saving it in our Downloads folder. And now here's our PDF. So then what I like to do is inside of the invoice, going back into QuickBooks Online, if I go under the invoice and I click on View Edit, scroll down to the bottom where it says Add Attachment. Click on that, and then in my downloads at the very top, you can see here's the PDF of the hauling sheets. Alright, and so we just added the PDF of those 3 hauling sheets. So now this invoice is ready to send,